And welcome back to part 2 of this episode of Tales from Halheim, where we had left off going on examples of crisis apparitions. So one of them is called the phone call. So a college student, we'll call her Laura, attends a Midwestern university in the late 1970s. She and her best friend Michelle are inseparable. Same major, same freshman orientation group, the kind of friends who trade notes, clothes, maybe even some secrets. So Michelle lives off campus in a nearby town. So late night, in-person visits were pretty damn rare. But one night, around 1:55 a.m., Laura is awake in her dorm room, cramming for a midterm. The dorm is mostly quiet. Suddenly, the room phone rings. No one calls at that hour, unless it's an emergency. So Laura goes ahead and answers the phone and immediately recognizes Michelle's voice. Now, Michelle sounds calm, but strangely flat, as if she was like exhausted or maybe even sedated. At first, their conversation is mundane. Michelle asks how the studying is going and makes a small inside joke. Then her tone shifts. In a soft, almost hollow voice, Michelle says, "I just needed to hear your voice one last time." Laura is stunned, caught between wanting to laugh it off and feeling a cold, instinctive dread. So she starts to ask, "What are you talking about?" And the line just goes dead. No dial tone, no click, just pure silence. Assuming it was maybe a dropped call or a bad line, Laura considers calling back. But the issue with that is the dorm phone system makes outgoing calls kind of awkward to complete at that hour. Not wanting to wake her roommate or walk to the hallway phone, she tells herself, I'll just talk to Michelle in the morning, and she eventually falls back asleep, uneasy, but asleep. Now, the next morning, Laura walks into the common area and immediately senses something is pretty wrong. Resident assistants are whispering, the TV news is on low. A mutual friend, pale and shaking, tells her that Michelle was killed in a car accident on the highway the previous night after leaving a late shift at work. The estimated time of the accident is around 2 a.m. Now, Laura, of course, insisted that that was impossible. She called me at 2. She was fine. And when the university and later the phone company checked the records, there was never any record of an incoming call to Laura's dorm line at that time. Now, Michelle's family confirms that there was no opportunity for her to use a phone at the scene of the crash. Skeptical explanations focus on misremembered times, a different caller whose voice she misidentified, or possibly dreamlike confusion. But the specific phrase, "one last time," and the tight match with the time of death, those are kind of what place this firmly a true crisis apparition or death call.
Jesus. Yeah, that's pretty terrifying. I don't know, man. Just the fact that when they check the records, there's no incoming calls. Do you think maybe it was like a dream and she woke up? Because have you ever had that where you're like asleep and then you feel like you'll wake up, but you're not fully woken up? I've had a couple of times like that where they're like, "Oh yeah, you were awake and you're having a conversation with us." I was like, I don't remember what the fuck was going on. Like, I don't remember having a conversation. It was maybe
I
something like
don't
that.
I don't think I've ever had anything like that happen, so I'm not sure.
But who was phone?
Yeah, I mean, even if it was a dream, for that to happen at that time in that dream is still a little interesting.
Yeah, the call seems oddly specific. I don't think that that's just her misremembering it or like the time or anything.
Yeah, way too close to be a coincidence, I don't think.
Yeah, it's fucking trippy for damn sure.
Yeah, it really is. All right, on to the next one. We have case number 5, the drowning man's warning. Peter and Michael are brothers who grew up on the coast, children of fishing family Boats, storms, and rough seas are normal parts of their lives. Michael is the more adventurous brother working odd jobs on fishing boats and charters. Peter has a steadier job and still lives at home with her mother. One early morning just before sunrise, Peter wakes up abruptly. His room is dim, lit only by gray dawn seeping through and around the curtains. He feels the unmistakable sense that somebody is watching him. As his eyes adjust, Peter sees a figure standing in his bedroom doorway. It's Michael. But something is wrong. Michael's clothes are soaked, hanging heavily from his frame. As if he just stepped out of the sea, water appears to be dripping from him, yet the floorboards remain strangely dry. His skin is pale, lips carrying a faint blue-gray tint, not grotesque, but clearly unnatural. Michael doesn't walk into the room. He simply stands in the doorway, shoulders slumped, looking directly at Peter. In a quiet, steady voice, he says, "Tell Mom I didn't suffer." Peter's frozen in place, stunned and terrified. Before he can move or speak, the doorway is empty. There's no sign of water, no footprints, no sounds, and the house is silent. A short time later, Peter sits at breakfast with his mother, about to mention the strange dream he just had, when there's a knock on the door. The Coast Guard or local police, depending on the version that you've heard, are there to deliver devastating news. Michael's fishing boat capsized in rough waters earlier that morning, and his body had been recovered near the wreckage. The coroner later reported that Michael's death would have been near instant, either from a blow to the head or from a sudden massive intake of water. In other words, he would not have remained conscious long enough to suffer a prolonged drowning. When the timeline is reconstructed, the estimated time of the accident aligns with the moment Peter woke up and saw his brother in the doorway. This experience is often interpreted as a comfort crisis apparition, not just a notice of death, but a message intended to ease guilt or grief. Michael's final concern in that interpretation is not for himself, but for his mother's peace of mind, and Peter became the messenger.
Well, goddamn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, tell Mom I didn't suffer. And then, like, the coroner report aligning that it was an immediate death. That's kind of unnerving.
Yeah, for sure. That's kind of spooky.
Yeah, I mean, how would you react if that happened? You know, someone in your family just showed up in what doesn't make sense, like fucking on fire or some shit. Just don't worry, I didn't suffer. And, you know, next thing you know, they find out, or you find out that they were in a car wreck, car caught fire. And thankfully, when the initial explosion happened, you know, it was instantaneous. But
I feel like in the tragedy of what it is, there's also the smallest lining of comfort, because it's like he's using his final words or his final message to try to like comfort or reassure his mom, like, hey, like, it's okay. Well, it's not okay, but I didn't suffer.
Yeah. I mean, I think that a lot of where these are coming from is the comfort type of mindset. So
yeah, I mean, everybody would want some form of it.
If I ever get one of these, I want to use it as a vengeance one. But to visit an enemy, frame him for
Absolute
tax
healer.
evasion.
Take
No.
a spectral shit on his chest.
Jesus, not that. Definitely not that. Just wake up in the middle of the night, see my ghost. I'm like, what happened? And be like, you're a bitch, and then just disappear.
Just drop off a letter from the IRS.
I didn't suffer, and also you're being audited.
They know.
And that's when they'd run.
Our next one is called The Grandfather's Visit. And another well-known case from Psychical Research Archives, a young girl named Emily, which is a pseudonym, has a particularly close bond with her grandfather. He lives about 500 miles away, but visits several times a year and writes or calls when he can. He's been ill, but the family does not consider his condition immediately life-threatening. One night, in the early hours of the morning, Emily wakes up. The room is dim, with a faint glow from the hallway nightlight. As she shifts in her bed, she feels the mattress dip at the end, exactly the way it does when her grandfather sits there during her visits to tell her bedtime stories. When her eyes focus, she immediately and clearly sees the same cardigan, the same gentle smile, same posture. He looks slightly tired, but not distressed or frightening. There's no gore or horror, only a calm, loving presence. He speaks to her in his normal voice. Be good for your mother. He might add something simple or affectionate like, I have to go now, love. Emily, still half asleep, agrees. To her, this feels like a normal visit. She assumes that when she wakes up for breakfast, her grandfather will be in the kitchen or sitting in the living room. In the morning, she eagerly tells her mother, Grandad came to visit last night. He sat on my bed. Her mother gently corrects her, explaining that grandfather lives far away and couldn't have been there. At that moment, there's a knock at the door or the phone rings. The family receives a word or call that Emily's grandfather had died during the night. Later, when relatives compare details, they find that the time of the death matches the rough time Emily awoke and saw him. Some versions of the account say that the clothing Emily describes him wearing matched the outfit that he had on when he'd passed, even though she had no way to know that. Investigators and researchers point to this case being a classic example of a crisis apparition tied to familial bonds. The message, "Be good for your mother," doesn't announce a death, it just passes a final piece of guidance and reassurance, as if the grandfather is handing off his protective role to Emily's mother, while offering the child closure at the same time.
Damn. I would feel sorry for the little kid because, I mean, how did they really handle or take that?
That's kind of a heavy thing to give to a kid.
In my mind, I was like, how bad of a kid you have to be that your grandpa's last words are, "You better behave. Behave or I'm going to come back and whoop that ass from beyond the grave."
I'll come back from the grave and hand you an audit.
Oh no. You better
Kids
fill out
don't
this
have to
ghost
worry about that.
W2.
No.
Hey, you know, I heard from another podcast that there was some person trying to give skeletons a W-2.
I don't think this falls under crisis apparitions.
No, but I think there's a lot of similar things that could fall under it. But, you know, why do crisis apparitions happen? I mean, some of them try and speculate that one of the things could be emotional projection. And that's when a person unconsciously takes their own feelings, thoughts, or motives and projects them onto someone else. And that's assuming that the other person feels or thinks in kind of that same way that they are in that state of mind.
Do you think that kind of falls under like projection, but like, hey, like I feel bad that this person died when they find out and be like, oh, my brain's remembering this from like last night that this happened or something like that?
I don't know, man. It's a tough one.
Because honestly, what I think it might be more like shared consciousness. It's basically the idea that two or more minds can access, exchange, or overlap in thoughts, feelings, or awareness, forming a kind of joint mental state.
It's a lot of overlap. You know, there's dimensional overlap too. Paranormal and speculative terms. It's the idea that two different layers of reality briefly occupy the same space at the same time, allowing things from one dimension or plane to bleed into the other.
I mean, that definitely sounds like it could be possible. I mean, a lot of people still don't believe in dimensions either, but they are a thing. Maybe it could have been an ancestral escort. So that's kind of like the idea that family members or close loved ones who have already died will come back to meet a person at the moment of their death and guide them into whatever comes next. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's that exactly, because they typically meet a person who's also dying, but, you know, some form of it.
I mean, another theory too is it could be liminal thresholds. Liminal comes from the Latin limen, meaning boundaries or doorways. A liminal threshold is basically a borderline state between two conditions, places or phases. So when you're not fully in one or the other, so you're like in the in between.
Purgatory.
I wouldn't say necessarily that. I think that kind of goes like off the dimension thing that you were talking about. It's just kind of like comforting and horror and like horrifying at the same time. If any of these is what we're going off of.
Listen, Emily, I have to guide you to what comes next. The IRS is on their way. I'll show you to the shredder.
We gotta jump dimensions. The IRS is coming.
If only it were that easy.
Yeah, but I mean, it being any of those, like, it all sound kind of like far out there, but I mean, the world's a big place and a lot of shit's undiscovered. Maybe it's something like that around those lines, or maybe it's all of them.
There's still so much that nobody knows how anything works about, so all of these are completely plausible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to study and try and find something on, you know, but I don't know how we'd go about doing that. And I know I don't have time to get any sort of doctorate if needed.
I don't know if that would be required because I don't know if you could pinpoint what, like, whenever this would happen.
Yeah.
Or, like, let alone, like, force the condition to have him, like, hey, we're going to kill your grandpa. He's going to come talk to you. Let us know if it goes through or not.
We'll throw Rudy in the MRI machine and then just execute all the family. One
Well,
by
don't do
one.
that.
No. It's
That's
the only
terrible.
way for
Don't
the
do that.
answers.
No, don't do that. What about if I give you a cousin? Would that work too?
Just the one that you don't like. That's the one that's going to come back.
It's always the cousin.
Okay, so we've we've basically gone over like the crisis apparitions and then being like, oh, I've come here to like give you a warning or like my final words that like I didn't suffer, like I wasn't in pain. You think there's ever vengeful ones?
I mean, like actual hauntings. Like,
No. Aside from hauntings, like your enemy dies and then like they uses their last moment of spite to call you like a bitch. They disappear. Like no joke. Like I want to like legitimately know if that's ever been the case.
I
Like an
don't
enemy
think
or
so.
somebody who doesn't like you. I don't know. I'm petty. I feel like I'd use my last moments instead of comforting a family member to go out and terrify somebody else.
I've never heard of like one-off accounts, but definitely things happening to people when an enemy dies, like attachment style hauntings.
Well, yeah, that's
Yeah.
like a long end thing. I'm talking about like
The
one and
long
like
con.
yeah. I'm talking about like a one and done. Like
No, I've
my
never heard of
spite
anything.
goes so far. Like I'm gonna drag you out of your bed this one time.
I mean, yeah, stuff like that has happened,
I'm gonna
but
fucking hit you with the
like
chair and then I'm gone.
no one ever appearing and just being like, "Hey, cuh, you a bitch," and then just like gone.
Deuces.
I'm gonna punch your cat, then I'm leaving.
Mittens, no.
Fucking Boondock Saints it.
No, dude, it's that thing from the Grudge. I think it's the remake where they drown the kid in the tub and then they grab the cat and fucking just launch it out the door into the fucking hallway.
Well, what
I've
is it in
never
Boondock
seen-
Saints where he slams his fucking fists on the table and the gun goes off and just obliterates the
I don't
cat?
know, man. I'll find that clip of that Grudge one. When I saw it, I fucking laughed so hard. I feel bad.
Well, you gotta
But
remember, I've
I-
seen that movie a fuck ton.
The Grudge or the Boondocks?
Both.
Oh, I'm talking about the Grudge, dude. Like that fucking
Yeah, no,
scene when he
I've-
fucking launched them against the wall. I fucking rewound it like 8 times. It's like,
Well, I mean, I don't enjoy animal abuse. Yeah, goddamn animal.
okay, calm down, because you're laughing about the fucking cat getting shot. You don't have a fucking leg to stand on here.
You're right. I have two. Mwahaha.
No, you get no fucking credit for that. You laughed because it got killed. I think the cat still survived.
No, it had a broken neck.
Mins, no.
It's not going to be the IRS that comes for you guys. It's going to be PETA.
Oh no.
Peter Griffin.
No, that was a bad one, and you know it. You're on timeout.
No, wasn't. Lois calls him Peter.
Okay, you're definitely on timeout.
Crisis apparitions, they seem to be about connection, not fear.
Then that answers my question. Never mind. I resend my vengeful ghost apparition theory.
I mean, connection is connection.
Yeah, but I don't think you're going to be connected enough to your enemy in like the kind of way that's going to allow you to visit him when you're dying or dead.
Okay, then let me ask you this. If not a terrifying one to haunt your enemies, if you had to do like a crisis apparition, what would be the last thing you would say?
To an enemy or to anybody?
Well, not an enemy, because it just established that it's not fear. It's based out of connection. Anybody that the last person you want to send a message to.
I would tell my kids to stay strong.
Okay, well, that's too many of your kids. I don't know if you're going to have the energy to do that for all your kids.
Well, I mean,
Pick
they all sleep in the same room, so
I don't know if that's how that works, though.
worst case, it'll be one of them. It doesn't matter whoever notices me first.
I would have said, like, tell your wife to tell the kids. That seems like the better option.
No,
The dog.
hell no. There's not a brain in between those buggy ass eyes.
Okay, fine, the cat.
Yeah, he'd be a lot smarter than the dog.
It's like he's going to write it down.
Dude, Spam is a genius.
He is.
But no, I would definitely do it to the kids just because being there young and not fully understanding, I think them being able to at least see and hear, or one of them, would be very comforting, and then they'd be able to pass that message along.
Okay, but which one, though? The oldest?
I said whoever would wake up first.
Imagine none of them wake up. They're just fucking deep sleep. You just wasted your message, buddy.
Then, I mean, hey, at least I tried.
The neighbor.
No, just the kids.
Yeah, I have no idea. I'm not a man of many words. I'd probably just show up and give Duffy a wet willy.
You can't touch me. There's no touching in these stories.
That's not true. Grandpa made the bed go down and stuff, you know?
I would
Yeah, he
fucking hit
did.
you with a crucifix. I'd wrap it around my fucking fist and punch you. Because first of all, why are you in my house?
I mean,
And secondly, why are you giving me a wet willy in the middle of the night?
because I'm dead. That's
You
my
want to
right.
get,
That's my
get hit
right
with
as a
the
Ghost American.
you want to get hit with the fucking controller? Because that's how you get hit by a controller.
You're going to make the vibration not work.
Not my DualShock 4.
Right. But, I mean, all in all, death is not silence. It's simply transition. Sometimes it can even be a final message.
So just remember, if somebody you love appears, you better listen.
They may be reaching out.
And this has been another episode of Tales from Halheim. We'll see you in the next one.